Krista Fincher. Hi. Please state your name and address.
Krista Fincher, 7209 Clover Circle. First of all, I'd like to say we are absolutely in favor of the amendment that came with the zoning committee and against Mr. Councilman Burdette's changes to that. I know you were all having questions about square footage. If I put paper up here, can you see my drawing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do the smaller one first, that's fine. 704 square feet. This is the smallest single boat slip you can build, and it's 704 square feet. That is no entertaining platform, no nothing. That's just for a single boat slip. You're almost right at the 800 square feet for the minimum amount. And then if you do, put up the second one. Let me show you the two. For us in particular, we have two boats. We need two slips. 1,216 square feet. 1,600 square feet. We don't get that because we don't have over 100 square feet of property. We get, at the 10% multiplier, we get 930 square feet. That's it. That's not enough. And that doesn't even allow for room for my son to have a platform for all his tackle box, all his 8, 9 fishing poles, and everything else he drags out there. He loves to fish. He needs room to do that. And when you're loading and unloading people and everything out of the boats, you've got to have the room. And the 10% multiplier doesn't work. And those of us that have either one boat, 2 jet skis, 2 boats, whatever, that's our investment. We've put our hard-earned money into it, and we don't want a small garage for our boat. We need room to cover it, whether it be sidewalls or extra room to enjoy the area around it. But the whole deal of it being public use does not make sense. As I know they said before, people who are using the lake for public access, they're not going to come in any further than where the docks go out. That's room for docks. That's not room for boating. If you've got boats going in there, that's a safety issue. And you've got to allow room for not just housing your boats, but for what goes on with that. Just,
thank you.
Well, in favor of the zoning committee.
Understood.
Against.
Thank you. All right. Rayford Shelton. Rayford, please state your name and address.
My name is Rayford Shelton. I live at 7117 Clover Circle, Fort Worth, on the lake. I'm here in support of the ordinance as offered, and I would ask each of you, most of the points that I would have otherwise made have already been made, so I would ask each of you as council members. The biggest issue seems to be that somehow we, the lake residents, are wishing to somehow deprive the rest of you or the rest of the citizenry of something to which they're entitled, something that we're somehow taking away. Mr. Moss, Mr. Espinosa, whoever it might be, what are we taking from you? Nothing. That's already been proven. Statistically, it's just not there. So I'm asking each of you to look into your own minds, into your own hearts, and think of those things. There's nothing wrong with the ordinance as it's been offered. I mean, certainly you can change it. For what? For what purpose? Has anything been achieved? Or are you just doing it because that's the way we've always done it? If one of the council members offers a different plan, that's just what we do. Just go along with it. Let's don't do that. That has been the Fort Worth way. Let's change that. Thank you very much.
Matt Burkett.
Afternoon. Matt Burkett, 6825 Cahoba Court. First of all, as we mentioned before, the city owns a lot of the property in shoreline. The shoreline that the houses are on, there's a reason why most of the boat docks are way out in the water and not up against the edge of their property. The reason is the lake is very shallow there. Only a handful of houses have deep enough water that's right at their shoreline or even close to their shoreline. So what does that mean? That water is not usable for anybody unless you like, wading in knee-deep water. So I don't understand the reason to take that from us. Number two, as the marshals out there have clearly stated, anytime you get your jet ski or anything near a dock, they get all kinds of angry face on you. So don't do that. It's not recommended. You need the boats and docks. As been said, they just simply don't use that. Another thing, Paul Bounds in one of his deals said that the dredging is likely to only go to 50 to 100 feet of your boat dock. They don't want to dredge around the dock. So that is going to make that same shallow water. The dredging will not change that usable or not usable area because it's simply shallow. If you want to make the lake access for more people and let more people at Fort Worth use it, then proceed with the dredging, get rid of the stumps, and that will be best for everybody. The simple reason is that's why a lot of people don't go to the lake, is because it's full of stumps. That's why they go to Eagle Mountain or Louisville or whatever. Before I moved there, when my boat was on a trailer, it didn't go to Lake Worth. So that's a simple fact. Last fact is everybody's thinking that these square footage are massive and everything, and your boat dock doesn't need to be bigger than your garage or whatever. But I don't know if any of y'all own a boat, but if you've ever tried to back up your boat into your garage and close the door, good luck. It's not going to fit. I had, my old house had a 3-car garage, and I couldn't get my boat in there for the life of me. So it's just not, it's a totally different scale as was presented on the drawing earlier. Second to last, the ordinance, when they did around there, and they said that Councilman Burdette's deal would not affect hardly anybody. The paperwork I saw that the city did, they said that my lake frontage was 20 feet. I own almost 700 feet of lake frontage. So really the size issue doesn't have anything to do with me. But it's wrong, and it affects the whole lake, and that's why I'm here. There was all kinds of holes. I went down our neighborhood shore and just, estimated and not just size, but what they had on there. The majority of docks are not going to be, this ordinance does not represent the majority of the docks on the lake.
All right, sir. Thank you, Matt. Mr. Burdette, this completes the cards. I know that there are obviously differences of opinion in this room. I also know that there's been a lot of work to bring us to this point. I think that what we're looking for is a fair, balanced product, and you said you wanted to listen to those who are here tonight.
Yes, and I appreciate the comments from everyone who've been here. I've heard a lot of comments about shoreline owners and what the majority want or what the majority don't want, who represents the shoreline owners, who doesn't represent the shoreline owners. And I understand that. But let me say one more time, this is not simply an issue of the shoreline property owners deciding how big their boat docks could be. That is because, and I'm repeating myself, that is because when you build a boat dock, you're building it on public property. So it's of great concern to the city, and should be, because we have as elected officials, I have as an elected official, not only the duty to represent all of you who live on the lake, but all of the citizens who live in District 7, some 80,000 of them. I have the duty to represent all the citizens of Fort Worth. And so there's nobody down here tonight to speak for those people who don't own shoreline property. So that's why I'm speaking up for them, because I think that's part of my duty and something that I need to look at in this case. I've heard the comment that
Just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, the council member is trying to address all of us. He extended you courtesy. I expect you to extend him the same. That's fair. Continue, Mr. Burdette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've heard the comments that there are easements here, and the more we restrict the size of the boat dock, the more rights we're taking away from the shoreline property owner. If that were the case, then I guess the argument could well be made that the shoreline property owner with an easement has the right to build a boat dock 2,000 yards out into the lake, or 5,000 yards, or however far he wants to build it. And I don't think any rational person believes that's the case, or that's what the easement means. One reason for doing this ordinance is because that easement is undefined, and because these rights are undefined, so we're trying to make them defined. We're trying to do it in a reasonable way to represent the rights of the shoreline owners as well as to represent the interest of all other people in the city and the city itself. I say again, I think it's important in this case for the city to be cautious and conservative in how much city property can be taken for the purpose of serving the property values of somebody's private land. And when it comes down to it, that's what we're talking about. So I'm going to do this. I heard some things that I thought make a little sense here tonight. I'm going to amend my motion. I'm going to move that the maximum square footage be kept at 1,600 feet with the right to seek an exception from the Board of Appeals. I'm going to suggest that the measurement by shoreline be multiplied by a factor of 15, not 10. 15 as originally was in the Zoning Commission's proposal. And I'm also going to recommend that the sidewall be, instead of 2 feet, be the 4 feet that was recommended by the Zoning Commission. Now, I know that's not going to satisfy everybody, but when I look at the facts that we have virtually no docks on the lake today that are in excess of 1,600 feet, the staff has gone out and checked all the lakes in this area, in the North Texas area, and have not found any that allow boat docks in excess of 1,600 feet. It just seems to me that 1,600 feet is a fair and reasonable square footage, and that's my motion.
All right, you've heard the motion to amend the original motion. Is there a second to the motion? Motion and second to amend the original motion. So the question before us is to approve the amendment to the original motion. All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. No. There being 8 ayes, 1 no, the motion to amend the amendment passes. The question now before us is the motion to, what are we, to amend the motion as amended.
Yep.
All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, real quick,
discussion.
I was confused on that previous one. I thought we were voting on the amendment, so
No, sir. This is the amendment to the
unanimous, then I apologize.
All right. Then let the record reflect a unanimous vote for the amendment to the amendment. Question now is on the motion as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. There. No? You were right that time. Okay. There being 8 ayes, 1 no. Motion carries.
All right, we're done.
All right.
Can you explain it to us?
Madam Secretary.
I'm sorry, can you explain to us?
I'm sorry?
I got confused.
All right, where we ended up, you heard what Mr. Burdette amended his original amendment to.
Yeah.
That is what
say
we...
this, Mary. Yeah. You all have the sheet that was sent out to you. The sheet will now read up to 100 feet on the first score, with a maximum of, but with a minimum of 1,000 square feet. The second column would read 100 feet or more, linear feet of shoreline times 15, not to exceed 1,600 square feet.
Mr. Burdette, if I may, I believe you want to have the up to 80 be 1,000, and then the multiplier is for 80 and above, because just with the math, the way it works out, once you change your multiplier, it makes more sense to go with the 80.
Okay, so it would be what on that one?
On that first row, it would be up to 80 feet, 1,000, so it would be as proposed by the Zoning Commission. And then on that next line, it would be above 80 feet, the multiplier would be 15, not to exceed 1,600 square feet.
Okay. And then the other change would be that the solid sidewall would be 4 feet instead of the 2 feet. Okay,
That's correct.
All right.
So that is what was approved. It's not everything you asked for, but I think it's a pretty good middle ground. I hope y'all are satisfied that the democratic process does work, and we don't just change things in midstream around here. We listen when y'all speak to us. So, with that, I'm sorry, sir. That completes our. Pardon me. No, we have voted. We voted. Wait, just a moment. Excuse me. Do you?
She just changed it.
He changed.
No, Dana just said this.
Could I?
He changed the amendment to the amendment.
Could I simplify?
All right.
The only change to what the zoning commission approved is a change from 2,000 square foot maximum to 1,600 square foot.
Right.
Everything else remains the stay.
Remains the same as the zoning.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's what you voted against.
Okay.
You want to? I understand. Okay. All right. Madam Secretary.
I'm sorry to keep this going, but I think that we should vote on that. I mean, I think that Mr. Burdette, I think Dana has changed what the calculations, and I think we need to make sure that's clear in the record.
Y'all want?
I would move that we reconsider so that, and Dana, if you could say it one more time, just so it's in the record,
Sure.
Because I don't think that was clear.
Okay.
All right.
Let me just a moment. Let me apologize. We'll go back to get us back to where we need to be. The chair would entertain a motion to reconsider the previous vote.
I move to reconsider.
I think I just did that.
All in favor of the motion to reconsider, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. The item is now before us. Would you restate your motion?
I now make the motion that the council approve the recommendation from the zoning commission with one change, and that is to change the numbers 2,000 square feet to 16,000 square feet.
100.
1,600 square feet.
1,600.
We're going to build Jerry's house on Lake Worth. All right. 1,600 square feet. Does everyone understand the motion before us? Question. Do everybody understand the motion before us? 1,600 square feet. Is that right, Dana?
Yes.
You want to explain the whole thing? Yes. Okay, Dana.
The way Councilmember Burdette stated it is correct. If we'd like, I can walk through on the sheet, yes, so that everyone's clear. Yeah, we zoom in a little bit to B1. In that first row, the proposal provided by the Zoning Commission would stand. It would be up to 80 feet, 1,000 square feet maximum structure size. In row 2, it would be 81 feet or more, linear feet of shoreline times 15, not to exceed 1,600 square feet. And then under item C1, it would be a maximum sidewall of 4 feet, measured downward from the roof. So the only
sidewalls below.
That's what I said, the 4 feet sidewall.
There's two sidewalls down from the roof, and then the second one is the sidewall.
Yeah, that relates to the materials, that no additional materials may be installed below the 4-foot sidewall, referring back to that original 4-foot sidewall.
So that was
4-foot
in
sidewall.
the original, though.
That was original from the Zoning
Okay.
Commission. So the only change Councilmember Burdette is proposing is that the not to exceed size for 81 feet or more be 1,600 rather than 2,000 square feet.
Okay. Now, is there anyone on the